don't even know where to begin. The middle, the beginning, because it doesn't matter. I don't even know if anyone's going to see this. But I've had some rough times in my life. But nothing prepared me for the end of my life. This is all I have left. My dad gave it to me. He was a avid chess player. Unbeatable. And one day, I beat him. I was 13 years old. Beat him with a bishop. And he gave this piece to me from his favorite set. And I'll never forget the look in his eyes after the realization of his loss wore off. I thought it was going to hit me. But a smile spread across his face. He began to laugh. My mom came over and she wanted to know what all the ruckus was about. And he simply pointed his hand to the board, and I sat there still in shock. And my mom looked at me. She looked at my dad, and the realization gripped her. She began to laugh. So my dad picked up this piece, and he gave it to me. He said, "Son, your mom and I did a good job in naming you. This is yours. Keep it. You've earned it. You won your first of many battles." I guess the name Bishop was a good name for me. So this is the story of me, Bishop Morris Henderson. My friends, when I had friends, just called me Bishop. I wasn't the first man to walk this earth. I never thought in a million years that I would be the last. My story began, I suppose, as it were, in Mississippi, where I was born and raised. I left the day of the incident. I barely made it out with my life. I never got to say goodbye to anyone. Just one day and it was all over. Oh, sure, there were a few of us, and we fought to the bitter end against hordes of the unspeakable. It was nighttime when they came for us. And we fought. At the time, we fought with what we had. And soon, I was the last one. So I thought. I went into a gated community to get away from the undead, I guess you would call them. I kept knocking on doors, looking for help. And finally, I went from placating to just kicking in doors. To my surprise, it wasn't the undead outside that was the problem. It was the ones on the inside who became a problem. The family must have been Japanese. I could tell by the decor. I could tell by the samurai sword that was on the mantle. Because I took it and I used it to defend myself. I wasn't a trained swordsman, but in a moment of life and death and a rush of adrenaline, you become what you need to be. This fight or flight. Make a long story short, I entered one house looking for food, and inside I met Sheila. Sheila was a white supremacist. And I never in my life thought that a white supremacist would be my closest friend and ally in these last moments. But she was. When our lives were in danger and we were seemingly the last two people around that weren't affected by whatever it was that was changing, that had changed the population into carnivorous monsters. We took up a fighting position in each other's life. We slept in the woods. We slept under bridges. We slept in department stores. Wherever we could barricade ourselves. No, I'm not talking about sex. We never did that. We decided that in those moments when the idea ran through our minds that it wasn't worth bringing a child into this world that had become worse than whatever it was before. But we did hang close to each other. After 3 months of traveling and walking, because whatever affected everybody took out the power. I don't know if it was a nuclear strike or an electromagnetic pulse or someone poisoned the water. I don't know. All I know is we weren't affected. At least not biologically. It didn't scare us to fight back to back, hang close. We were what I thought were the last people on earth, and then we would move on. We would find food and we ate it at our own risk. We tried to eat foods that were not open, but it's hard to tell where the contamination started. She found a Twinkie truck. We went through it. We joked about finding the last Twinkie, like in that zombie movie. It was funny. But at this point in our lives, we weren't looking for the last Twinkie. We were looking for any Twinkie, anything that could give us the energy as we traveled. Our clothes were wearing off of us. The last time we were together, we were bedding down in the back of an SUV. She clung extra close, extra tight to me. And we talked about different things, and finally she told me she doesn't know where her hatred for people that were different came from. She didn't know much about what was going to happen next. So before we went to sleep, she told me, I am so glad I met you. I didn't get to tell her that I was glad to meet her too. She was hanging on to me pretty tightly. I asked her, why so tight? At times I felt like I couldn't breathe. It was only when I calmed down that I realized that she was shaking. I was shaking too. She said the reason why she's clinging so tightly is because even though we weren't safe, she wanted to feel safe. She wanted to feel that for the moment, everything was all right. And it was. The next morning, or evening rather, I can't tell. We woke up to the windshield being shattered. We looked up and we were surrounded by the undead. I guess they found us, or this was a new batch, and we were being pushed over the edge of a bridge. Surely we would fall to the bottom and drown. So we made the decision to jump out. And we fought. I swung my sword rather. Still correcting myself, even though there's no one to care. All the grammar Nazis are dead. Now would be a bad time to joke that that's a good thing, because it's not. But we fought. I'm not a trained swordsman, but I'm pretty sure any trained swordsman that saw me that day would agree that I was as good as any. I was fighting for my life. Fighting to be able to live, to love, to breathe, to exist. I fought until the blade went dull. I fought until the point got dull. I fought until the sword broke. And even when it broke, it still gave me a good edge, and I fought some more. And then I ended up with this homunculus on me. I was tired. My strength was waning. And Sheila had one more bullet. And just as I pushed him up off of me for the last time, a shot rang out. It went through his head, and he died on top of me. I quickly pushed him off for fear that his blood would contaminate me. I suppose it didn't. And then I turned, and Sheila was worse for wear. Her leg was broken. I bandaged it up as best I could, using my very limited knowledge of medicine. She told me to leave her. And I told her, I'm not leaving you. She insisted. And I picked her up in my arms and I carried her. I walked for what seemed like forever. There was no more sword, there was no more bullets, there was no more food. There was just us. For the remainder of the trip, she got silent. I walked until I saw a sign. I was entering Nevada. And when I tried to tell Sheila, she wouldn't respond. So I laid her down by the sign. And it was only then that I looked into her face and realized that she was gone. She'd been gone a long time. And I didn't even know. Those creatures took her from me. The one good thing I had left in this world. Go back and kill them all. But there was no time for that. So I cried my tears, and I buried one of the best friends I had in this short life, right there by that sign. Anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you all this. I don't know if there's anybody out there that's going to see this. I don't know if there's going to be anyone out there that even cares. I finally made it as far north as I could go. When I got into Nevada, I discovered that there was power here. There were no monsters, but there were no people either. I found a car. In the glove box, I found this. It's not much, but there were rounds, and it'll do. I drove north, trying to get to Washington State, hoping maybe my sister was home. I had no way of contacting her because my cell phone was damaged in one of our many skirmishes. I got to her house only to discover that no one was there, that the building had been destroyed, ransacked, as if someone was leaving in a hurry. It's still weird that I found no one, no dead bodies, no animals, no people. It's laughable. It's as if they all just disappeared. Finally, I found this house. It's abandoned. There's some food in the fridge. All the rooms are empty. And I chose this one. I'll barricade the doors. I've showered. The guy's clothes even fit me. So I'll bed down here. They have power. They have internet. So this should be sufficient to upload this video to YouTube. If you've sat with me this far, you should know that I have found a working cell phone. The information on it has given me this number, 253-544-4327. Please, I'm sick of being alone. Sick of being without answers. If this is what mankind has brought upon himself, then perhaps we deserve this fate. God put us on this earth to dress it and to keep it, and to have dominion over it. And we've failed worse than Adam and Eve ever could. Maybe he'll come and visit me, lead me in the direction I should go. But if you're out there and you're watching this, please call me. Let me know that I'm not alone. nowhere to go from here. This is Bishop.